Hey, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com. There's a new credit card out called the Bilt Rewards Mastercard that is going to allow you to put your rent payment on a credit card, earn rewards without a fee. It's pretty interesting and we're going to take a look. But first, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already. And if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So the sort of holy grail in the credit card rewards hobby for many people has been the desire to be able to put your rent payment or your mortgage payment on a credit card and earn rewards on that big lump of cash that is going out of your wallet every month. But up until now, there really hasn't been a way to do it without using a third party that would sort of facilitate that transaction for a fee, and usually that fee was going to be more than what you would earn in credit card rewards, so it didn't really make a whole lot of sense unless maybe you were trying to earn a sign-up bonus and then even paying the fee would make some sense. But now, with this new Bilt Rewards Mastercard, at least on the rental side of the Holy Grail equation, we may have reached nirvana. But as they say, the devil is in the details. So while it is true that this new Bilt Rewards Mastercard does have no fees and you can put your rent payment on it and you will earn rewards on that rent payment, there are a few wrinkles that some people will be just fine with and they'll be very excited, and maybe other people will say, eh. The first detail that is a little devil here is the fact that as I make this video, the card has just been announced and there's a wait list for it. So you can get on the wait list, but you're not going to be able to run out, well, at least as I make this video, you're not going to be able to run out and get it today. But hopefully it looks like they're making a big enough deal about it that it's going to be pretty quick that people are going to be able to get their hands on it. So let's look at those details. So the Bilt Rewards Mastercard is a no annual fee credit card being issued in partnership with Evolve Bank and Trust that will allow you to put your rental payments on as a purchase as well as any other thing that you might want to buy with a MasterCard. Now you might say to yourself, well, how does that work? How can they let me put my rent payment on there without charging me any sort of fee? And the way they do it is they're sort of making it a loss leader, meaning they're not charging you the fee on that rental payment, but they are making you make a sort of commitment to use the card for non-rent payments in order for you to be able to put that rent onto the card. So at the most basic level, you have to put at least $250 a month onto the card of non-rent purchases in order to be able to run your rent purchase through the card. The card has a tiered system in which your non-rent purchases are always going to get you 1 point per dollar. Now, depending on how much you spend on the card on those non-rent purchases, the amount you get on your rent payments is going to vary. So if you spend between $250 and $999 in a month on non-rent purchases, you will get a 0.5 point per dollar on your rental payments. If you spend between $1,000 and $1,999 per month on non-rent purchases, you will get 1 point per dollar on those rental payments. Next tier up, $2,000 up to $3,499. That is going to get you 1.5 points per dollar on those rental payments. And then if you spend $3,500 or more on non-rent purchases in a month, you would then get 2 points per dollar on your rental payments. Now you might look at those rewards and think they seem a little paltry. You have to spend an awful lot in non-rent purchases in order to get even a halfway decent reward on your rent payments. But consider your other options. Don't be deceived here. You don't have a lot of other options to get anything on your rent payments. In fact, you don't have any other options except ones that you're going to pay for, and those are a bad deal. So in this case, you're getting something for those rent payments and you're getting something for the non-rent purchases. And if you put it all together, it's still a pretty good deal. As an example, let's start at that most basic blue tier. Let's say you spend that $250 on non-rent purchases with the card, you get 1 point per dollar or 250 points, right? Let's say that your rent is $1,500 and so you also put your rent on this card. Now at that blue level, the most basic level, you're only getting a 0.5 point per dollar. So for $1,500, you're only getting 750 points. So combine the rent payment with the non-rent purchases, you've got 250 points plus 750 points. You got 1,000 points for $1,750 worth of purchases, right? The $250 of non-rent and the $1,500 of rent. And that doesn't look so good. If you look at it just from that perspective, you'd say, well, that's less than 1%. I only got 1,000 points. But look at the alternatives, or consider the alternatives. Mostly, you would get 0 on those rent payments in any other scenario. So I would tell you, you really should look at that and say, I spent $250 with this card and I got 1,000 points because I would have got nothing for those rent payments. So I might as well just sort of cancel them out from this equation. So I ended up with 1,000 points on $250 of non-rent spending, which you could then make the case, if you were thinking of each point being worth about a penny, would be about a 4% return on that $250 spend. And then you can sort of do this with every tier, looking at the next tier. Say you spend $1,000 on non-rent purchases, you'd get 1,000 points there. And if you had a $1,500 rent payment and you got 1 point per dollar, you'd get 1,500 points there. So 1,500 points on the rental end, 1,000 points on the non-rent purchases. That would be $2,500 in purchases and you would get 2,500 points, which even then doesn't really seem like all that great of a deal, except again, normally you would not be getting anything for $1,500 worth of rent payments. So you could conceivably look at it as spent $1,000 with the card on non-rent purchases and it got 2,500 points. And so then it starts to look a lot better. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the math here, but actually the lower tier with this card is sort of a better deal because you put that $250 or more onto the card in order to get the ability to put your rent payment on the card and earn rewards. That's actually kind of a better deal than going up the tier, even though you get more per dollar on those rent payments as you spend more on non-rent purchases. The deal kind of actually gets a little worse because you have to put so much in non-rent purchases on the card in order to sort of move up the tier. So you can do that math on your own. Oh, and I should mention there is a cap on what you can earn on those rent payments. So the most you can get is 4,000 points in a month. So if you have a very high rent, you're not going to be able to get, 6,000 points or whatever on your rent payments, capped off at 4,000 points. So that is how earning works. Now let's talk about redemptions. Now redemptions here are limited, but potentially lucrative, especially if you are someone that likes travel rewards. Perhaps the most interesting is going to be the fact that this card has some very good travel transfer partners where you can transfer your points from the Bilt Mastercard on a one-to-one basis into the programs of American Airlines, Hyatt, and some international airlines as well. We've got Virgin Atlantic, we've got the Flying Blue, we've got Aeroplan, we've got Emirates, Turkish Airlines, Hawaiian Airlines is also in there. So you have a lot of pretty decent programs where you can put your points into on a one-to-one basis. Many people value Hyatt points very highly. American Airlines is not a partner that I think anybody else has, and so to get them on a one-to-one basis is very interesting. Even Citibank, who actually issues American Airlines cards, does not have them as a travel transfer partner. So it's very interesting that this card has the ability for you to take your points and put them into these programs. And if you're someone that really knows what you're doing, you have flexibility, you are a planner, you are going to, really find the deals with these airlines and you can transfer your points into them. This could be a very lucrative way to redeem your points. You also have another travel redemption option where if you don't want to use one of those transfer partners, you can simply take your points and use them to offset purchases you have made of travel with the card on a 1 point equals 1 penny basis. So 10,000 points would equal $100 worth of travel that you charge to the card as an example. Now, before I talk about the other redemptions, I should make one thing clear. This is not a cashback card. You cannot take your points and get cash in your hands. You can't take 10,000 points and get $100 or whatever. All of your redemptions are going to be something where you have to use the points for something else instead of getting the cash in your greedy little paws. Now, in terms of the other redemptions, Bilt is a little bit vague in terms of what your points are worth on some of these. So I'll go from what I know. The most interesting probably of what is left here and the most lucrative is the fact that you could use your points toward the down payment on a home, and they say that they could be worth up to 1.5 cents per point. And I don't know what up to means in this case, whether that is there's a range for some reason depending on how many points you use, or in most cases it's 1.5 cents, but there's exceptions, or what that means. But they say up to 1.5 cents per point would be the value if you use it in that way. So if you really racked up some points, that could be pretty nice. Now, other ways you can use your points, there are some fitness programs you can use, SoulCycle and some others. In that case, each point is going to be worth a penny when you redeem it, so not necessarily a great redemption there. They have the Bilt collection, which is home decor and it's designer stuff. I don't know if it's totally exclusive to them or not, but it is probably, you know, kind of interesting stuff. I don't know how many people are going to use their credit card rewards on this. The value of your points on this are going to vary, I guess, based on how you feel about the things that they are actually offering. And then the other way you could use it is toward rent on the place that you are at. However, this is going to be a bad redemption, and I could not nail down any number from anything I looked at, but I saw that somehow Dustin at Waller's Wallet did a video where he says that the point value on rent is a little more than half a cent per point, and that's a pretty bad redemption, so I don't see any reason why anyone would actually use their points for rent. So that is the big picture. Pretty interesting, I think. Now, it's maybe not the holy grail in terms of the rewards that you're going to get on those rent payments until somebody else comes along and does something similar here and competes in this space. Well, then you're going to have to kind of take what you can get if you're interested in getting rewards on your rent payments, because your other options are none. Now, there are some other things to talk about with this card. In fact, quite a few other things to talk about, and I'm going to kind of take them in a random order because there's so much going on here. The Bilt Mastercard has a first month bonus. You get 3 points per dollar on those rent payments. That is capped off at 10,000 points. At a maximum, you will get 2 points per dollar on all of your non-rent purchases in that first month. Point number 2, Bilt is not going to let you revolve that rent payment and pay interest on it, so you're not going to go into crazy debt on the rent payments here. So if it sounds like a really bad idea to put rent on a credit card, they're not going to let you just let that build and build and build. What they do is sort of 2 potential things. One of them is what they call Bilt Protect, and in that case, you link a bank account to the card, and the rent payment part of your card payment comes out of that bank account. And so in that case, at least as far as I understand it, when the card is reported to the credit bureaus, the rent payment part is not reported as part of your balance, which if you are trying to build credit, you will appreciate, because it won't look like you have a very big balance all the time on your credit card. So then only the things that you buy that are non-rent purchases would show up when it is reported to the credit bureaus. Now, you could have the rent payment go on to your balance each month, but if you do that, they're still going to make you pay for that rent payment in full, plus the minimum payment on the rest of the purchases that you make in that month. Speaking of credit reporting and credit scoring, my understanding is that the Bilt Mastercard is not only going to report your credit card payments each month, but they would also be reporting your rent payments. So those would actually be 2 different line items on your credit report, which would be a very good thing if you're someone that is trying to build credit. Now, that is my understanding. Like I said, there's so much information around this card as it launches. That's how I think it works. You're at least going to have 1 thing reported every month, but I think it's 2. The Bilt Mastercard is a World Elite Mastercard, which is going to give you some extra benefits, the biggest one being cell phone protection. If you pay with this card, you're going to get that cell phone protection. There's also price protection. You have benefits from Lyft and DoorDash, some discounts and freebies there. I believe concierge service is part of it, and some other stuff too. Now let's talk about how your rent's actually going to get paid through Bilt. It's going to get paid in one of 2 ways. Bilt has built up a network of rental property owners, like the big corporations that own a whole lot of rental properties. And if you happen to live in a rental property that one of these big corporations owns, well, then it's going to be a pretty seamless process. You're going to pay through the app, and it's just going to get funneled to whoever your big corporate landlord is. Now, most people probably aren't going to have one of these corporate landlords as their landlord, and in that case, what's going to happen is you are still going to pay through the app, but then Bilt is actually going to write a paper check, it sounds like, and send it to your landlord, which sounds like a logistical nightmare to me, but really that is their problem. Now, I have talked so far exclusively about the Bilt Rewards Mastercard, but there actually is a Bilt Rewards program that you can be part of without even getting the credit card. In that case, you become part of the program and you would get 250 points per month when you pay your rent, and then there are some other ways that you could maybe get some points here or there, but not very lucrative. If you don't get the credit card, the rewards program otherwise doesn't seem like it makes a ton of sense. Now, if you are thinking the card sounds good to you, but you are wondering what your chances of approval are, my understanding from the little information that is out there is that they're going to try to approve people sort of up and down the credit spectrum. There's a Wall Street Journal article about the card today where they talk about interest rates potentially anywhere from 15% all the way up over 20%, and then maybe a subprime version of the card where there's even over 30% interest rates. Now, you don't want to be paying over 30% in interest rates, and as long as you pay off your balances in full, you won't have to worry about that. But that sounds to me like they're going to try to approve people at a lot of different interest rates and some high interest rates, which means the approval process is probably going to be fairly easy compared to some of the other cards from the big banks out there on the market. And then finally, the card is metal, if that matters to you. So that is it. Lots to digest there. Maybe not the nirvana that we would hope for when we talk about this holy grail of rental payments on credit cards, but still pretty decent. And until other competition comes in, maybe to push Bilt a little bit on those rewards, this is better than nothing. I would like there to be a cash out option on the redemptions, but for some people, those travel partners are really awesome. The down payment redemption may be something that some people take advantage of, and that could be pretty cool too. So this is a pretty interesting and obviously a novel credit card, and we will see if any competitors do come in and, you know, push them a little bit. If any of the big banks make this an aspect of their cards, that seems like it maybe would be a next step, because I imagine this one is going to be pretty popular, even if it doesn't seem like it is overloaded with rewards. I would love to hear your take on it. Put those in that comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews and we talk personal finance and we talk deals and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.